Can't hear a thing.
James Tuchuk, Board Trustee.
Kelly Fallon, Superintendent of Schools.
Eric Garrett-Wall, Board President.
Penny DiSabato, Board Vice President.
Paul Peller, Board Trustee.
Paul Farrell, Assistant Superintendent for Secondary Education.
Patrick Harrigan, Deputy Superintendent. Before we get going, I'd like to read a statement, please. Under the Open Meetings Law, the audio or video taping of a public school board meeting is legal as long as it remains unobtrusive and does not disrupt or interfere with the deliberative process or the right of persons in attendance to observe or listen to the proceedings. Although the district is not recording, the public should be advised that this meeting is subject to being taped, and thus that any comments, questions, or statements made during the public portions of this meeting may appear in print or online, including YouTube or other websites.
Can't hear you. We can't hear you because the fans are going.
I read it in the microphone. I apologize.
Thank you.
At this point in time, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Strong.
Thank you, Mr. Garrett-Wald, and I'd like to thank our Central Board Administration, our Board of Education, along with community members and guests here tonight. We're glad to host tonight's board meeting, and I'd like to introduce a few members of our administrative team as well. With me, we have Assistant Principals Mrs. Allison Byersdorf and Mr. Stephen Houck. We also have our Director of Guidance, Mr. Edward Marinich, and one of our counselors, Mrs. Megan Lambert. Also with us tonight is one of our school psychologists, Mr. Stolten. And outside, oh, they're actually sitting right here, we have our co-PTA presidents. We have Mrs. Gordon and Mrs. Petrozelli. And we also have other members of the PTA in attendance as well. And as we go into May, it offers a nice time to reflect upon the school year. There's a lot of elements of the year to reflect upon, so we certainly can't touch upon them all, but we'd like to hit two areas. One area we'd like to touch upon is our PTA Reflections Contest. Since 1969, the PTA Reflections Contest has brought together the community, students, and school through their passion of the arts. And this year's theme was entitled, "The World Would Be a Better Place If." So we had 100 students from West Hollow participate. 4 of those entries went to the county level and 1 received honors. 2 of those students are here tonight and we'd like to recognize them. So Blaze Vastola, please come on down, Blaze. Thank you very much, and I'd also like to thank our Central Office Administration and Board of Education again as we expanded our extracurricular programs this year. Some of the offerings we're able to provide is our Fashion Club that let our students explore the world of fashion, statistics and sports to understand the numbers behind sports, and also Breathe. Breathe is a new club. It's an exciting new club with a lot of membership, and we're excited about that combines the philosophy and science of mindfulness. And here to talk about Breathe is our guidance counselor, Ms. Lambert, and club advisor.
Thank you, Mr. Strong. I echo your sentiments of gratitude to the board and central administration for allocating funding to these enriching programs like the one I'm involved with, the Green Club. Additionally, I want to thank Michael Stovall for his invaluable assistance with the club. I do have some slides. If you want to turn, or if you want to take a seat in the audience, up to you. Whatever works best. Some pictures of our club underway. So, as you know, most of you know, this is our first year, and I'm just so encouraged by the feedback I've been getting from the members of the club. We have 20 to 30 students attending on a regular basis, and across all grade levels, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And what we're doing is we're learning about and we're practicing mindfulness. So I'm just going to take a couple minutes to describe mindfulness. So perhaps some of you, when you hear the word mindfulness, may conjure up images of incense and hippies or so new age hocus pocus. But I'm here to assure you that mindfulness is really a way of living that supports overall well-being and has a multitude of applications. It involves practices that are simple, accessible, and backed by science. It's proving to be so effective, in fact, that we're seeing it everywhere. I don't know about you, but I'm seeing it everywhere. It's really becoming very ubiquitous. So there's Anderson Cooper. He did a whole segment on mindfulness in 60 minutes. You can look on YouTube. Made its way into politics with Tim Ryan's book, Mindful Nation. I was on the cover of Time magazine recently, I would say in the fall, some good articles in there. And even has its own magazine. So, why? Because it is so effective. So what's all the hype about? And what is it exactly? So mindfulness is most commonly described or defined as the practice of paying attention on purpose in the present moment without judgment. Mindfulness is a practice that promotes greater awareness of oneself and one's environment. I often explain it to the students to break it down as paying attention to our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions, and how those thoughts, feelings, and actions affect ourselves and others. Here are some of the benefits of mindfulness. As you read through, you may notice that many of these benefits correlate with what we want to foster in our educational system. So there are many ways to practice being mindful, but the most important involves something that we do all day, every day, from birth to death, without even really noticing. And you may guess that is breathing, hence the name of our club, Breathe. Mindful breathing is different than everyday breathing because when we're breathing mindfully, we are breathing with awareness. So we're paying attention to our breath on purpose. And this does a couple of things. Number one, it brings us more fully into the present moment, which is really what mindfulness is all about, very central to mindfulness. It calms the part of the brain that is activated during a stress response. There's some really interesting brain science behind it that I don't have time to get into tonight, but basically that part of your brain that is activated during a stress response is calmed by mindful breathing. And it also allows the other parts of the brain, the executive functioning parts of the brain, the parts of the brain that take in information and recall information to function unimpaired. When we're having a stress response, those parts of the brain are impaired, hence the term knee-jerk reaction. So mindful breathing and different mindfulness practices allow the person to make a mindful choice rather than a knee-jerk reaction. So mindfulness is a practice, and this is really important because when we practice something, we work on it to improve. It does take time, and in the beginning, it can be a little challenging, but the benefits are really worth the time we put in. I like to say mindfulness is simple, but not easy. Making time for an intentional mindfulness practice, as I'm encouraging students to do in the Breathe Club, can be compared to a musician who spends time tuning their instrument before they go on for a performance. In this case, the instrument is the brain, is the mind, and the mindfulness practices help tune it so to prepare for problem solving, social interactions, and learning. A very useful time to practice mindfulness is when we are feeling stressed, and we discuss this in our club a lot. Kids are feeling stressed. Modern living is just so fast-paced. We all know we're rushing around from point A to point B on autopilot, so much of the time attached to our own personal device. We let the present moment get away from us, and really, the present moment is the only moment we have. A lot of times our minds are thinking about the past, or planning, or worrying about the future, and we're missing out, and the kids are feeling it. A survey conducted by the American Psychological Association in 2009 found that 45% of U.S. teens are stressed by school pressures. I would guess that in the past 5 years, that number probably has gone up, and I would also venture to say that it's not just teens that are feeling it. I think the little ones are feeling it too. But studies are also showing that optimal learning takes place in a state of relaxed alertness. This is why mindfulness in education is spreading at such a fast pace. Elementary, middle, and high schools across the country are utilizing cutting-edge mindfulness education programs to improve academic performance, to cultivate emotional balance, and foster qualities like empathy and gratitude, all things that we explore in the club. I was involved in one of these programs called Mission B, and it's really just taking off, which is really great to see. Our own counseling center department is embracing mindfulness as a really valuable therapeutic tool. And our hope is to bring it into the school in a larger way. Just last week, we took an informal poll in Breathe Club to kind of see if students were applying what they're learning in the club, because that's what it's all about. We have a lot of fun, and we do mindful movement, and we have a relaxation at the end. But if it's only happening in the club, well, that has some benefits, but we want students to be utilizing what they're learning. And most of them are. And even more than that, most of them are sharing that it's really helping them. And they shared specific instances where it helps them with test taking and things like that. Very encouraging. So members are learning about the mind-body connection, about how the stress response works, and how to empower themselves with the knowledge, tools, and ability to manage stress, and really to just live more fully in each moment. So at this time, I'd like to invite two very courageous Breathe Club members to share a little reflection about what the Breathe Club means to them. So Anjali and Vinika, come on up.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Anjali Ventura, and I would like to share with you what the Breathe Club means to me. At times, I get stressed out with all my activities and schoolwork. It's nice to be able to practice yoga and meditation. It helps me calm down and deal with stress. I always feel comfortable in this club. You don't have to be very flexible to do yoga because everyone works at their own pace. In the Breathe Club, you learn to focus on the moment right now and to live in the moment. The Breathe Club also touches upon many different aspects of mindfulness. Thank you, Mrs. Lambert, for all that you teach us. I know that I will carry your mindful teaching throughout my life.
Hi, my
Tori, and I'm a student at West Hollow Middle School in the 7th grade. I love being part of Breathe Club because you get to be yourself and no one can judge you. This club is a great way for making new friends, interacting, and socializing. We learn how important it is to be mindful and caring to one another. It's a great way for a community to come together and act as one big happy family. It doesn't matter if one has better shoes or hair or is a different religion. Everyone is accepted. Joining Breathe Club has been an amazing experience. It is also pleasing because you get to have time to yourself. You get to relax and meditate, which is one of my favorite parts. I love being part of Breathe Club. Thank you. So to conclude, I'm going to bring the Breathe Club here tonight. So we're going to do a 2-minute mindfulness practice together. A little out of the ordinary, I know. But I'm going to invite you all to close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing so. It does enhance the experience. Just try to make yourself comfortable in your seat. And just take a little time to go inside, just to check in with yourself. And just notice whatever feelings are coming up for you right now. Maybe you're feeling this is strange, or maybe it's a little uncomfortable for you, and that's fine. Just notice that is how you're feeling. Maybe you're feeling doubt about this whole thing, or thinking, well, this won't work for me. But whatever feelings come up, just try to notice them, just watch them. Just bring gentle awareness to whatever comes up. And see if you can bring to mind all the things that you've done today. If you're a parent, maybe taking care of your children. Perhaps you spent time doing housework, maybe you're at work all day. If so, just think about all that you've done at work. Maybe you were planning, problem solving, whatever it is you did today, what you do every day. Just take a moment to think about all you've accomplished. And just recognize yourself. Offer yourself some gratitude for all that you do, for others, for your family, for the schools, for the community. And just take a nice gentle inhale. And with your exhale, see if you can just let all that doing go for a moment and just be. Just be in this moment with your breath. Sometimes we forget we're human beings, not human doings. And just notice what it feels like to breathe. And try to place your awareness with your breath. Nowhere to go, nothing to do. No information to sort, just be right here now, gently connecting to the breath. When thoughts arise, just notice them. See if you can let go a little and not get dragged around by the thoughts. Noticing the sensations, perhaps noticing the rhythm of the breath, quality of the breath, temperature as it enters the nose and exits the nose. Just what it feels like to breathe in this moment. Just see if you can just sit quietly for the next moment in a state of relaxed awareness. When you're ready, just gently open your eyes, hopefully feeling a little more calm, a little more connected. I'd love to get feedback, but I don't think we have time. I just want to thank you again for allowing us to come and share, and just looking forward to hopefully having the Breathe Club next year as well. Thank you, everyone.
Once again, I want to thank Ms. Lambert for her work with the Breathe Club. Thank you very much. More importantly, even as I do my studies, the stress that as adults I'm sure that we feel, but students feel every day, I think it's very valuable work, and I thank you for what you bring to West Hollow and now branching out to our guidance department, psychologists, support staff, and beyond. So thank you very much. And with that, it's my pleasure to hand the meeting back over to Mrs. Fallon and the Board of Education.
Thank you, Mr. Strong. It is always a pleasure to be at West Hollow. To our students who were reflection winners, congratulations to you. Ms. Lambert, thank you so much for providing a little mini workshop for us, and we have heard tremendous feedback from the students regarding the Breathe Club. So thank you.
Point in time, we'd like to do the appointments for tenure.
Thank you, Mr. Gary. Well, this evening we have 10 teachers who are being recommended for tenure. Those teachers are Jacqueline Tenazzo in English, Karen Schneider, also in English, Amanda Kavner, Science, Lauren Barlow, Science, Lucianne Toger, Special Education, Karen Myers, Special Education, Brooke Helms, Special Education, Margarita Shaughnessy, Special Education, Erin Woods, Special Education, and Diane Blake, Special Education.
Thank you. I would like to ask for a motion to grant tenure to the 10 teachers previously mentioned.
Motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? I'd just like to say thank you to the teachers for all that they've done for our students and continuing for our students. So we appreciate all that they do. All those in favor? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gary.
And at this point in time, I'd like to turn the meeting over to Mrs. Caliendo for the budget presentation.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, everyone. Probably not coincidental that we had a de-stressing technique before this, so for those who've heard this now 8 times, I apologize, and that timing was perfect. So this is our official budget hearing. This is the meeting we are required to have approximately a week before our budget vote, which is May 19th. So I welcome you to join in this journey on the budget development for 2015-16. We'll take you through all those components. Revenue is where we start. We look at the money coming in to fund the expenditures to offer the programs that we have here at Half Hollow. The main sources of revenue are noted there, and when you look at the pie chart, it's pretty similar year after year. Property taxes make up about 82% of our budget revenue, followed by state aid. The red piece of the pie is an indicator of wealth. In a lesser wealthy district, the yellow state aid pie would be a much larger section. And I'll take you through each of those components, but just important to note, we have a miscellaneous category, and I have noted there, presentation copies are outside, but I have noted there what that includes. It's rental income, it's tuition payments from other school districts, use of facility charges, that kind of thing, all lumped up together into miscellaneous. The property tax levy is now a formula. We're in our 4th year of calculating out that formula using the legislation that's been provided to school districts across the state. And we're looking at a 2.34% increase year over year. That arrives us at $195.4 million for our property tax levy. Biggest piece of our revenue is now done, and then we look for state aid. We had some challenges with state aid. The state aid runs, as they're called, were not issued to school districts when they were supposed to, so we were challenged with having a gap in what this funding source would be. When the numbers finally were released, we were looking at a $2.1 million increase, which was very good news for us. That being said, I will continue to complain about the gap elimination adjustment and about how foundation aid is not running, but that set aside, we're looking at about $29 million, which is good news for us in terms of our state aid picture. Appropriated fund balance and use of reserves are our next two largest components of our revenue. We have a planned and purposeful reduction in our appropriated fund balance, and what that means is that the amount of money which is listed there at $4.6 million, which is what we use from our savings account essentially to fund the budget, we are bringing that down to that level from what we're at now, which is about $6 million. And that is simply because the controller, which is one of our regulating agencies, has been indicating to school districts during recent audits, not here, but at our colleague districts, saying, we're not really a fan of you continuing to use that as a revenue source, so we are trying to get ahead of that and reduce that down slightly year after year. The use of reserves is remaining at $4.25 million, which is just another type of savings account we have earmarked for very specific purposes. The pilots and miscellaneous revenue, we have pilots that we receive from the Suffolk County Industrial Development Agency, as well as from the town of Babylon Industrial Development Agencies, and that the pilots are payments in lieu of taxes. Essentially, it's a way for the counties and towns to keep businesses here on Long Island. It keeps the jobs here, keeps the businesses here, supporting our local community. So those fluctuate each year. That's one piece that we work very closely with the counties and the towns to try and manage those numbers, but unfortunately, we're just recipient of funds. We're not involved in the process at all. The miscellaneous revenue, when you add that to it, you're looking at about $5.4 million in total. Of those two pieces, pilots is the larger, it's about $3.5 million, and miscellaneous revenue, which are a myriad of a dozen or so miscellaneous revenue sources in total, are about $1.5 million roughly. When you look at each of the components and you look at the 14-15 current budget year, what our revenue expectations were, and then you look at the 15-16 projections, you can see line by line what we're seeing, what we're expecting to go up or down. And hopefully I've just clarified why. When you look at the 2.34, that's that number that Newsday gives a lot of notoriety to, but that's just one piece of our picture. For us, really the biggest picture is this number here, $238.65 million. And the reason why that's important is because that then tells us what our expenditure plan can be. That says the total dollar amount of our expenditure plan. So the number you just saw on the revenue slide is what the expenditures need to be. They can't go above that. So that's that $238 million, which is a $4.4 million increase. The percent increase is 1.9%. And that's an important number because when you look at the history of the budget increases for this district, this is what the increases are. I don't know if you can see it, but those are percent. So we've had some low years of about 0.5% and then some high years at about 10%. But when you look at what we're expecting for next year, we're looking at bringing that back about 19 years to the 1996-97 levels. So we haven't had a year-over-year budget increase as modest as we're going out with this year since 96-97, and what's really important about that figure is what's included in the budget, what exciting programs and services we're able to restore and or introduce for this year's budget. So the budget is generally placed into 5 different categories of codes. You have your 1,000 codes. They're called Uniform System of Accounts. Each district is required to utilize the same accounting system, the numbering system. So everything in the 1,000 code set is going to be for general support. It's kind of like my office, Mrs. Fallon's office, offices that generally support the overall operation. I'm not in the classroom, nor is Mrs. Fallon, but we clearly support the operations of the district. And then you have the instruction code set, which are the 2,000 codes, and those are codes for instruction and nurses and librarians and extracurricular activities and athletics. All of that is in that code set. Transportation is what you'd imagine. It's transportation or busing, whether provided in-house by the district's own buses or contracted out. You have undistributed, which are essentially dollars undistributed to the other codes. So it would include in, for example, the benefits associated with employees paid out of any one of those other 3 categories. And then we have other pieces in here which are called transfers to other accounts. We have a transfer to debt service as well as a transfer to capital that are embedded into that undistributed category as required by the system of accounts. The last category is called community services. That for us represents the natatorium, and that community service area is something different for every community. It's a tiny piece of our budget, but it's required that we code that separately, so we do. And when you look at each of those categories, this is what the pie looks like. The breakout is very similar year after year. It really doesn't change much. Instruction is always going to be your biggest component, about 56%, and then you can see where everything else parses out from there. So I mentioned that we have exciting pieces in our budget. We have all the existing programs and services. We have restorations from prior year reductions, and then we have enhancements to our services as well as curriculum updates, which I will take you through. So in summary, the restorations from prior year budget reductions, we have a full-time health teacher coming back into the elementary buildings. We have reduced that out in the prior year. We have elementary clubs coming back from what we had cut previously. We have 2 reading specialists in support of academic intervention services, and then teacher professional development, which was also an area that we reduced out from a prior budget cycle, unfortunately. In terms of enhancements and updates to curriculum, we have in mathematics a computer programming sequence, which will be a new introduction to our students at the secondary level. Fine arts at the secondary level, we're going to have some enhancements, including digital design and digital gaming design courses, as well as filmmaking, updates to our photography program, and then stagecraft and lighting clubs, which will help to provide a venue for students who are interested in theater, but not in front of the curtain, but rather behind the curtain, doing all the work that makes in front of the curtain look so beautiful. So that is going to be in terms of the fine arts enhancements for next year. At the phys ed, in the phys ed category, at the secondary level, at the high school level, we're looking at introducing multiple activity strands to our phys ed program. So right now, and I generalize, but right now if there is a program going on in physical education, everyone's doing a flag football, everyone's doing it. Versus students really saying, I'm not interested in that, I might be interested in something different, and can I do something different with my classmates? So this will introduce individual, group, and outdoor strands to the existing program and provide options and really mini electives for those students. So we're very excited about looking at phys ed very creatively. Social studies, our social studies director will be spending a lot of time with her teachers, working on curriculum and strategy for those teachers to then bring back into the classroom, all in support of the new standards. ELA, we have a